Hey guys, thanks for stopping by today. I have a Louis Vuitton review of the repair services, and I was also requested to compare that to the Burberry repair that I had done, and I had also planned to drop off another item for repair at a different store, and there's a story time to that. So we'll just jump right in. And if you are here for my Instagram, thank you so much for bearing with me and for requesting this video. As I said, it takes a lot of courage for me to hit the record button. I am very self-conscious. When I was a kid, I had so many ear infections. My first easily 6-7 years of life were spent in and out of the ear, nose, and throat doctor's office. And when I was actually learning to speak as a child, I would say things the way that I heard them, but due to the recurrent ear infections, I was not hearing things properly. And I took speech therapy for, oh gosh, let's see, 5 or 6 years before I was fully able to overcome the damage that had been done. So because of that, I am very self-conscious of words. I tend to overthink it in my head, and I actually hate answering the phone unless I know the person who's calling, like at work. I just let the phone go to voicemail and call the patient back. So anyway, that's my tangent on that, and I will get started. So back in about March, I was looking online. I really wanted a vintage Petite Noe. I guess technically any bag for my birth year, as long as the canvas was in pretty good condition, so that I could try to take it into Louis Vuitton and see if they would repair the item for me. And so I was searching all over the place. I was searching kind of eBay, but I don't really trust eBay that much. And I'm honestly not too good at authenticating some bags on my own. So I didn't really want to risk it. I was just kind of looking at reputable sellers on eBay. I was looking on Etsy. Believe it or not, Etsy actually has a couple good vintage resellers, which is actually, I did purchase my bag from Etsy. Hey Athena. And I was also checking Fashionphile, but Fashionphile, I was expecting the cost of repairs to be pretty high. So Fashionphile, the prices of their bags were typically a little too high for me, or they weren't from my birth year. Therefore I wasn't interested. Well, I finally found a Petite Noe from my birth year on Etsy, and the canvas appeared to be in amazing condition. The bathroom's right over here and the fan just auto clicked on, so my cat just got spooked. But anyway, I found this bag that appeared to be in excellent condition. I messaged the seller. She actually has a shop where she sells a lot of antique and vintage items. She has really great reviews. I do have a friend who authenticates, and I forwarded pictures and messages to my friend. She helped, me ask some of the questions that should be asked to get more pictures, and I was able to talk her into lowering the price by about $20. She had on her shop the price or best offer. She said you could send her an offer, but nothing insultingly low. And I didn't want it to be insultingly low. I just messaged her and said, look, I do plan on trying to get the leather replaced, and I know that's going to be pretty expensive. I would feel comfortable if you would drop the price by $20. If you don't want to, I understand. I'm still interested in the bag. And she agreed that that was reasonable. So that brought it to an even number, and I was very excited, got the bag, and it was beautiful, but the leather and the hardware was, it was horrible looking. It was just kind of like, okay, the leather's in fair condition considering it's a 27-year-old bag, but the hardware was just, it looked so gross. And I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so it sat like on my dining room table for 3 months of me just staring at it thinking, oh, I need to use this bag, I need to use it, and just kind of picking it up like, you pick up something dirty and you're like, oh, I can't touch it, it's so gross. I'm a teensy bit of a germaphobe. I go through like a whole bunch of Purell at work, so it was driving me nuts. And I finally took it in around the end of June and requested that they send it off to try to repair it. And I was really hoping, even though my friend did authenticate it, the seller had excellent reviews, she was very cooperative, I believed it was authentic, but this was also my first pre-owned bag. So there was always that little hint of fear, I guess, in my stomach of, what if it's not real? What if I sent it in and they send it back saying this is a fake bag, and that would be horribly embarrassing. But I was like, who's going to fake a vintage bag? I don't think anyone would really fake a vintage bag that's, you know, in the condition that the leather and the hardware was. So I requested a full leather replacement. I also requested for them to replace the hardware, but there was no option in there when my SA was putting it in to replace the hardware. We did just leave a note, and she said, well, they won't send it back without at least cleaning it. So if they need to replace it, they will replace it, or they will just clean it spick and span for you. I honestly feel as though they replaced it though, because like I said, if you are here for my Instagram, you have seen some of the before pictures. I don't know if anyone would have the patience to clean that hardware. I feel like they just probably said screw it and replaced it. So here is my bag. All new leather. I'm pretty sure, like I said, new hardware. It's beautiful. It's shiny. Let me get one of the D-rings, or not D-rings, rivets. I don't know if that's what it's called, but rivet. What's interesting though is the vintage Petite Noise did not have a D-ring inside. Louis Vuitton did add that for me. So I now am able to connect things in there. I'm pretty excited about that. So I do typically clip my keys on there, or clay to put cash and change in. So anyway, it looks beautiful. There is only one spot on the canvas that the seller did warn me about, and I was very surprised that she did, because I could hardly see this when I got it, and I don't think my camera will pick it up. I will try to take a picture though and post it on Instagram. So there is a tiny spot right here. It's a little bit of a scuff and a little, can you hear that? Like it's a little pick in the canvas, but it's so small. I don't know how she caught it, but I had asked her if the canvas was damaged anywhere, and she said it's not really damaged, but there is one little scuff, and took a picture. And like I said, I'm amazed she even found it, because when you're just looking at the bag in person, even, you really have to investigate the canvas to even find it. And I do believe that they cleaned the inside, because there were a few pin marks in there. There's one pin mark they could not get out. Let's see if this will pick up. So there's one pin mark that they could not get out. The estimated cost of the repair when I took it in was $655 pre-tax. And they asked me if I was sure that I wanted to go through with that, because they weren't sure, since that was the only option in there was for the leather. If they did replace the hardware, it might be more expensive. And I told them that I was okay with it. I knew going into it that it was going to be pretty expensive, obviously, because especially of this piece down here, that it was going to be very expensive. And if it came out to under the cost of a new bag for my total, I was thrilled. If it came out to be a little bit more, I would honestly be okay with it, just because this is from my birth year, and I feel like that's very special to have a bag that's as old as you are, kind of have the same starting point in life. And so they sent it off. They told me it would be 6 to 8 weeks, and I did get a call around the 7-week mark that my bag was back. So I was at work at the time, and I actually, like, on my lunch break, drove to Louis Vuitton to pick it up, and I switched into it the next day. I was so excited. It turned out beautiful. And with the tax in my state, Washington State, we have a bit of a high tax rate. I think it's about like 9.5 or something. It's really high. I always just add on 10% when I'm estimating prices, just to be safe. So it did come out to about $720. And like I said though, I'm just thrilled. It came out with the price I paid for this bag and the repair. It was still under the cost of a brand new bag. So I am very excited. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it with this repair. It did come back in the time frame, which is good. It was the price they estimated at. They did not add anything extra on for the hardware. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they replaced the hardware. So that was nice. Now in comparison to, I'm not sure if you watched my last video, over a year ago, I had my Burberry bag repaired. This Burberry bag was actually the first high-end designer handbag that I purchased, and I was like sweating. I purchased it online to be delivered to the store. I was like sweating, my palms were cold, my feet were freezing, you know, like a cold sweat. My husband had to come over and be like, "Oh, just buy it," and hit click, you know, and I was panicking. Well, anyway, because this was my first designer bag, I did not take as good of care of it as I should have. I am very rough on my bags anyway still. However, Burberry, their leather is very, very, very soft. I feel like, unless you get the grained calf skin, but this bag has a smooth leather on it, so it's not very durable. And I had gotten quite a few scuffs on the corners, and my previous bags were all Coach, so I had attached on my crossbody strap, I had attached a hair clip, because I was really into wearing hair clips at the time to pull my hair back for work. So I had attached a hair clip on here. It scratched up like the whole interior parts right here. So Burberry, June must be my month to get things repaired. And so I had dropped this off, I think June 22nd, and they could not give me a price estimate in the store. And they said it would be about 4 weeks, probably 4 to 5 weeks total, to get my bag repaired, and that they would call me with the repair price once their team evaluated it. So about 2 weeks after I sent it off, I did get a phone call. They gave me the price. It was $245 pre-tax. It ended up being about $260, I think, about $260 something when I picked it up. And I feel like that's reasonable because they didn't replace the leather. They just touched it up and refinished it. Athena, what are you doing? So they just had touched it up, refinished it, shined up my hardware for me. And I feel like that was a very reasonable price. Come here. And so I was very excited with that. It came back just shy of the 4 week mark. It was like a day short of 4 weeks from when I dropped it off. So that was exciting and good. So far, both of those are very positive experiences, repairing luxury items. My only other repair besides the one I'm about to get into, it wasn't technically a designer piece. It was just a promise ring that my husband, when we were dating, had gotten me, and one of the stones had fallen out of it. It was a beautiful 3-stone aquamarine ring with 3 little diamonds on each of the ends. And one of the larger aquamarines fell out, and that company did end up just replacing the ring entirely for me. Instead of replacing the stone, they felt like because the original stone had fallen out, there was something wrong with the setting, and they didn't want to risk it happening again. So they had replaced the ring for me, gave me back my original ring anyway, and I still have it somewhere. It's just my ring size has since changed, and I haven't been wearing it. I need to get it resized, but that's my other one. This final one, back in 2013, I finally got hired in the medical field. It was so hard to do. It took almost a year after I finished school to get a job, because the medical field is one of those fields where you almost need experience to get experience. And I had interviewed with multiple companies. They all passed up for someone who actually had experience. And it was so frustrating because you go in for your interview, you say, I did really well in school, I got great grades, I did great on my clinical rotations, and they're like, oh, you don't have experience outside of school or your clinicals. No, because this is my first job. And they're like, oh, well, we have more qualified people, so we're gonna hire them. It's so frustrating. So anyway, when I finally got hired, like 10 months after I had finished school, I decided to reward myself. At the time, I was not into very high-end luxury. I was just into Coach, a little bit of Michael Kors. I actually never purchased anything from Michael Kors, but I definitely stalked the website. I went into Coach because there's a Coach store literally just about walking distance from where I live. And I purchased this wallet as a congratulatory gift to myself. And after many years of use, as you can see, the glazing on the strap on this end is like up completely. Can you see that gap? I'm so pale that you can see that gap. And on this side, it's not quite as bad, but it's definitely like lifting on this side. So I decided around the time that I went to drop off my Louis Vuitton, I haven't used this for a couple years now since that started happening, maybe about 2 years ago. I decided, oh, you know what? I should probably get it replaced or repaired. Took it into Coach. The girl was like manhandling my wallet, just like, oh, well, I can't find the date code, and like practically stretching it. I was afraid she was gonna rip it. And she finally found it because she was like accusing me of having a fake Coach wallet. And I go, I bought the wallet in this store, so unless you guys sold me a fake wallet, it's real. And she couldn't find it in my purchase history. She was just going up by my ID, and I said, well, my maiden name was this, and it was purchased under my maiden name, so maybe you need to search that. She refused to do it, and then when she finally authenticated it, was like, oh, well, when did you purchase it? And I told her February of 2013. Well, since it was just over 5 years old, she said, Coach doesn't repair anything over 5 years old, so we're not going to repair it for you. And I was kind of like, that really does not testify to the longevity of your product. I emailed their customer service that following week, and customer service verified what she told me, which was, it's over 5 years old, we're not repairing it. I'm like, oh my God. And they said I could send it in and they would see if they could repair it, but they wouldn't make me any promises. So I took it to a few local cobblers who they said they would need a glazing machine to repair it, and one of them is attempting to purchase a glazing machine, but she currently does not have one, so no one can repair this right now. I'm kind of upset and bitter about that, but life goes on. It's just, I guess, justification for me to go to Louis Vuitton, get a new wallet. So yeah, that is it. I always say I'll answer questions if you leave me a comment down below, but I am honestly horrible about responding to comments on here. If you have any questions, pop over to my Instagram. It's the same username, LuxLabLife, and you can ask me questions on there. I'm very good about responding. I try to like all the comments I get on Instagram. Sometimes I'll miss one, but I try to like all your comments, respond to all your comments on my Instagram. I'm just a lot more active on there because Instagram is nice and easy. It's just pictures. I don't have to talk. So I'm a lot more active on Instagram. You can leave me a comment. I will attempt to answer it, but I honestly can't promise anything. So if you have any further questions, pop over to Instagram, and I will see you guys later. Have a great day.